Hello, Needham, and welcome to the 17th highest rated show on the Needham channel. This is What's My... Yeah?
Really?
Yeah. This is What's... Actually, I'm not really sure.
Oh, thank gosh.
This is What's My House Worth, a show about the Needham real estate market. My name is Rob TIcktin. This is Ryan McDonnell. We are with Hawthorne Real Estate, a design build firm. We also provide real estate brokerage services. But today we are here to talk about the sales data for the month of, Ryan?
May, Rob.
Correct. The month of May, and it was a busy May.
Yeah, as we thought it would be.
We did think it would be. So let's start the show like we always do, I suppose, with the sales data sheet and start to dive into the numbers a little bit and see what those numbers are revealing. And Ryan, as I mentioned, the first number up there, the 35 sales, what do you see after that?
We see an average list price of those 35 sales of just over $1 million and an average sale price very close to list. So that's always very comfortable.
And it's
comforting, I should say.
The average sales price last month was $964,000.
Correct.
So we're up a little bit from last month.
Yeah, and our percentages are very strong. Our sales price as a percentage of list price is 99.4%, Rob. That's very good. And also very good, 98.5 of original list. And that's the number that I like to see, up over 97. That means we're pricing things appropriately and they're selling quickly. These numbers are good, compared to last month too. Last month we were at 100% and 98, so they're holding strong. And also last year, you look year over year, last May we were also at 99%. With the original list being at 97, so it's up this year over last year, which is good. Our average sale price per square foot of $357. That's a little bit lower, Rob.
Yeah. Okay.
Down a bit from last month at $372, and last year at $377. So that $357, the $350s is an area we haven't seen in a few months.
Right, but all in all, reports of the demise of the Needham real estate market potentially not quite there yet.
Not there yet. Not there yet. Average days on market 49. That's remarkable.
Yeah.
So again, we are seeing the fruits of the spring. We'll still get to at the end of the show. We'll talk a little bit about what's on the market right now, which is a little bit less rosy, but still 35 sales. We're seeing strong demand, a lot of numbers in the spring, and that's good.
Right. So as you said, we're starting to see sales that registered from the beginning of this spring market, and as a result, as we look at the trend over the last 6 months, as one might expect, that graph is starting to climb, and I would imagine will continue that climb into June.
Yeah, I would. Looking at how many homes are under agreement right now, I think we're going to have a lot of closings in June, which is not atypical. That's definitely our peak month year over year. But for May, the big jump over April, like you said, looking at a lot of the houses as we will go through. A lot of them came on the market in March, and this is, now we're seeing them close 60 days later, and it makes sense.
Right. Most importantly, 35 sales means that we have content to fill a half hour worth of programming.
Right. So we better get to it.
So 35 sales in the month of May. Real quick before we start diving into the individual sales, how does this May compare to Mays of yesteryear? And 35 is not too shabby.
No, 35 strong. It's giving a good throttling to the recent Mays. You have to go back to May of 2011 before you can top this current May.
All right, so there you go. Now, as promised, we're going to dive into those individual sales, working with the smallest sales price and then climbing throughout the show. Our first sale for the month of May is on No Yes, as some might call it, Ryan, or Noise Street. It's 62 Noise. This is a house that sells, that's a low number, $457 for 5 beds, 2.5 baths.
Yeah, and I think this one right here, Rob, as you mentioned, it is on No Yes. And it's an example of a house that doesn't really have the secondary redevelopment market as an option for that seller, because it's not a location that's typically you're going to see new construction.
Yep.
And what I'm getting at, I guess, is this is what the value of a house that is in need of a complete renovation, that doesn't have it's not worth what its land is worth, essentially.
Right. That's a good point.
So it's you're looking at 457. If this property was more of a teardown candidate in a location that would support it, it might get close to 7.
Good point. You're right. Total gut job in that house. Low ceilings, an odd layout, needed a lot. Tree fell on the house, while it was on the market, so it was kind of a hard luck house.
Mercifully, it wasn't during an open house.
That's right, or else that might have been a whole different story on the Needham channel. And then the buyers of this house are actually redeveloping the existing structure, and so we'll see how they make out. Yeah, for resale. Next one up is 81 Highland Terrace, in a location that most people don't usually drive by. This is on the other side of 128.
Well, I'd say it's almost undrive-byable.
Yeah.
You have to be going there.
Oh, without a doubt.
Right.
Yeah, without question. I mean, I would argue that there are probably a lot of Needham residents that have never been on this street,
No.
might not even know where it is.
Yeah, so this backs up to this house backs up to Charles River Landing. You can actually, in the picture that I think you could see it.
Almost see in the corner.
It's a big lot. It's 16,000 square feet. It's at the end of a cul-de-sac. It's kind of like when we were both standing there, we were like, this is kind of a neat little neighborhood. It's got this sort of a loop around a nice little park.
Yeah.
It's just on its own as far as Needham residential neighborhoods go. There aren't any other neighborhoods around it. It's almost in like a retail area of Needham as you approach Newton off of Needham Street.
I think there's a lot of upside to that neighborhood personally.
Yeah.
That's my 2 cents.
Yep.
30 Honeywell Street is our next listing, and Ryan, when this one came on the market, I felt like I liked it, and I thought it was priced right, and sure enough, 6 days on and off the market, it sells for just a little bit less than what it was listed for, $553.
Yeah, it was nice, and it was nicely updated and finished. The only, I think the knock would be it's 1,200 square feet, so it's a little bit on the smaller side.
Yep.
But I think the price reflects that. That and Honeywell's a busy street. But yeah, I agree, it was well priced and it was a nice little sale.
And I know it is near the intersection of Wellesley Ave and Ardmore. And
Okay.
it's an intersection that does make you nervous.
Right. Well, it's crazy.
Yeah, it's an
I mean,
odd
it's
intersection.
It's lawless.
But you need to just keep calm and it's
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah.
47 St. Mary Street's our next listing. This is one that's right off of Central. It's close to 128.
Yep.
And it is, like the previous listing, priced well because, or accurately, I should say, because it sells in just 7 days.
Yeah, and this one also had an in-law suite, which can be very attractive and lead to a quick sale if the right buyer hits the timing right.
All righty.
And it did, maybe.
Yeah, agreed. 1409 Great Plain Avenue is our next listing. And Ryan, how about the lot size
Yeah, it's a
with
big
this one?
It's a big one.
Big. I mean, it's huge.
It is, but it's not like it's one big square or rectangle. It's an odd-shaped lot.
And I think there's a stream running through it
And
too,
Rosemary
isn't there?
Brook, runs through the backyard. So there's some wet area. It's not something that can be subdivided into two 10,000 square feet conforming lots. It doesn't have the frontage on Great Plain for one, and also I think you'll have some conservation.
Yeah, I do. For what it's worth, I like that lot on paper.
Okay.
And FYI, the upstairs bathroom medicine cabinet was excluded from that sale.
It's good to know.
Yeah, so I don't
good to
know.
know.
I don't know if that changes your thoughts. Over to Rolling Lane. We're kind of all over the map. I feel like usually we start the show kind of in one centralized location, but now it's like we're jumping all over.
And I can't believe you didn't say we're rolling over to Rolling Lane, something like that. I mean, this was a perfect segue opportunity for you.
I feel like I'm better than that. Okay. Sells for $627. It was on the market for $635.9.
Yeah, nice sized lot. I mean, just under 14,000 square feet. One thing I noticed on a couple of these listings is there's no elementary school in the listing sheet, and I just find it to be strange.
Really?
Yeah, I noticed it a few times. It's more often than not, I would say, almost exclusively out-of-town agents.
Right.
But it's just odd that you don't have that there because of how elementary school, how big of a focus that is for Needham buyers.
And never mind the fact that it's so easy to find out.
Right.
Right? I mean, all you have to do is search for another listing that's sold on that street.
True.
And 99% chance it's the same.
Yep.
We can get into that later, I suppose.
That's our PSA for the day.
Yeah, fair enough. 31 Best Road is not too far from Rolling Lane.
Nope.
Well, we saw this together, Ryan. And when you saw it, did you think it would sell for $21,000 more than what it was listed for?
I mean, I thought it was positioned as a land sale, Rob.
Okay.
And interesting the use of the term right size, which is now a verb and a word also, which I didn't know.
I don't mind it.
But so this is, and that's how it was kind of positioned. It's like, okay, you can have this house here, or you can right size it to a different type of house. And I interpreted that to mean redevelop it from a land development perspective, and I think the price reflects this property's land value.
That's interesting. I thought it said right size just because it had a better sound to it than downsize.
You wanted to make this house smaller?
No, I'm just saying like maybe somebody who's in a bigger house wants to right size to a more manageable space.
You might be right,
Yeah.
size.
Yeah,
That's interesting. Yeah, it certainly could be that. But this to me, it has the designs of a potential redevelopment project.
Either way, 10,000 square foot lot in a nice neighborhood
Correct.
doesn't hurt, obviously.
Size.
Correct. 16 Central Ave. When you see Central Avenue and waterfront in the same sentence, it doesn't happen very often,
No.
but it does with this one, Ryan. 16 Central Ave.
Handsomely, Rob.
Handsome waterfront home.
Yeah, I
Ryan.
had to stop and think, where does the Charles River come right up to Central Avenue? And it does over by the Newton side of things.
Near Echo Bridge.
Right, so this is in that part of Central. Also, the address of 16 should have tipped us off. but it
True.
didn't.
And I put the exterior pic here, but the first picture in the listing, I don't know if you noticed, was not an exterior front pic. It was
Was it the river?
well, it was actually an interior
With the
picture.
bridge?
No. But I mean, there were some. They did do a good job, I think, graphically,
Yeah, I agree.
showing all the things this house had to offer. 161 Evelyn Road is our next listing. This one sells for $714,000, more than the listing price. Ryan, we're seeing a few of these early on.
Yeah, and I think the 1,200 square feet here is a little misleading. I mean, this is it's a multi-level, or split level rather. So you often don't see that square footage included in public record, but there's livable square feet that's basically above grade on the lower level.
Right, but usually I feel like it goes the other way.
Yeah, right. So typically you'll see the agent put 1,900 square feet or whatever, and then disclose that it includes that lower level. This one didn't, but so it's a larger house than 1,200 square feet, is what I'm getting at.
Yes, indeed. 46 Lawton Road is our next listing. I like this street. I like this location. When I looked at the listing, I thought, wow, it looks like a good price for 1,700 square feet, 3 beds, 2 baths in that area. But the dreaded captured bedroom, I think,
Right.
probably had a lot to do with this one not getting closer to 8.
Right, and it being only 3 bedrooms, so two of your bedrooms are sort of joined at the hip.
Right. Well, it's basically a 2-bed.
Right, exactly. So, but otherwise, like you said, great location. It's nicely finished. So I really liked it too, and I think that's really the only drawback. So you could say that the agent did a good job in pricing that to really account for it, because otherwise, you're right. This is an $800,000 house.
Agreed. I believe you also liked the next listing. I remember when we first saw it, you felt like the pricing was. I indicated a listing that you liked for whatever reason.
Okay.
935 Webster Street. Why don't you talk about that one a little bit?
Okay, yeah, I think I walked through there and I was almost surprised that it was listed for lower. I was surprised what it was listed for. I thought it would be listed higher, but that doesn't necessarily mean that I supported it.
Good point. Okay.
So there's a fine line difference there. So this one, compared to Lawton, it has an extra bedroom, but really it's like a bedroom and a half because you don't have the capturedness. But it's it needed some work, and it's near a pretty busy corner of Dedham and Webster. So I think that contributed to its days on market and its ultimate selling price.
Good job by the listing agent, though, dropping the price as needed over the course of 60 days. 3 price drops.
Yep.
You can't cling to those sales price or those listing prices when inventory is not moving, because then you get left holding the bag. And it's red flag city, I feel like, in this market when things don't sell for a short period of time.
Right.
That's the reality. 32 Beaufort Avenue is our next listing. This is one I know, Ryan, that you had a chance to walk through.
Popped in.
Yeah, you get a chance to see those legit bedrooms.
They are legit, but one of them used to be the garage. How do you feel about that?
Interested.
Yeah, I mean it's converting a garage to interior space. So on one hand, you're obviously giving up something that has a lot of value to a potential buyer, but you're also creating something in the 4th bedroom that also has tremendous amount of value. I mean, this house is it's sold very quickly for over asking. It's on a great street, great neighborhood, smaller lot. A lot of them over there are under 7,000 square feet, including this one. But it's interesting to see how the converting of the garage to a bedroom paid off, and I think in this case it did.
Yeah, and we do see that, not very often, but we do see it.
Yeah.
Sneaky walk to town time.
Okay.
Sneaky walk to town location.
I mean, you're basically in town here. I mean, this is right across the street from Tedeschi's and the bank. I don't think there's like any sneaking. I mean, you're not lurking around, like you're there already.
Well, I mean, it's a sneaky in-town location.
I
Can we
guess.
say that?
I guess.
193 Garden Street is the next listing. That's a giant lot there, Ryan.
It is.
29,000 square feet.
It's big, and it's a unique property. Rob, it's got like an in-law suite / home office appendage.
It's big.
Yeah.
It's got a lot of square footage, that house.
Yes,
4,000.
almost 4,000, and it's tons of upside. But as you mentioned, you're right across the street from the Tedeschi parking lot, and you have the train there, and it's where the train sort of stops,
Right.
and lets out. So
But it is the non-train side of Garden. Yes.
Oh, right.
I believe it is.
I think we'll check that.
All right. Settle that next
I mean,
one,
we'll
shall we?
wait. Do you guys want to check that? We'll just. No? Okay, we'll keep going. Go ahead, keep going, Rob.
Okay. Everybody ready for the next one? 21 Lawton Road. I think I was right anyway.
We'll see.
This one goes on the market for $790 and sells for $769, and I like this house, Ryan.
Yeah, I think we both were sort of surprised at how big it was.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because it didn't have like an open floor plan by any means. There was an addition off the back that was on a different level than the rest of the house. But it was an interesting house, and I like Lawton as a location. Lots a little small, but you're 2,000 square feet, and you're under 8.
Are we both in agreement that we like stucco? I feel like we've had that
I like
conversation.
stucco, for sure.
I have no qualms with stucco.
Yeah.
So from 21 Lawton Road over to 21 Lancaster Road.
Okay.
That's back-to-back 21s right there. Everybody likes those.
Especially at a blackjack table.
True. Do we have a name for this neighborhood, by the way?
No,
We don't?
I don't believe so.
This one needs a name.
Good. Why don't you tell us where it is?
That's a neighborhood off of Great Plain. You've got Whittier there, Elmwood, Berkshire,
Yep.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's a great home to start making memories in.
That's true. That's true.
Any other comments?
I mean, it's a nice quiet street. I mean, Lancaster, you're not on it unless that's your destination, really. So that's very appealing, and it's a nice little neighborhood.
All right. 43 Parkland Road is our next listing. This one's off Central Ave, another street that I don't think many Needham residents necessarily know about because it's its own street right off of Central, fairly close to 128. Good space in this house from the pictures.
Yeah, I mean, 2,900 square feet.
That's nothing to sneeze at.
No, built in 1994, and it's very open. It's maybe the evolution of the open floor plan as it was starting to come to the mainstream in the 90s.
Yeah, and direct access to the Sudbury Aqueduct walking trail.
That's true.
Right? 122 Harris Avenue is the next listing. This is a house that you and I both walked through, and we saw it. It was certainly very unique.
Yep.
In a good location. It was on the market for 40 days from October to December.
Right.
It came off the market, then went back on, and clearly did not have a hard time in the second go-around.
No, a better time of year to sell. I mean, this one, nice curb appeal, Rob. I think we both like the first floor better than the second floor, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I would say so as well. Yep.
So, but unique, like you said, charming, quaint, has all of those things going for it, but a little dated.
Off of Charles River Street is Locust Lane. That brings us to our next listing, 59 Locust Lane. This is a house that sells for $880,000, Ryan.
Yeah, this is near Dover, South Natick, that part of Needham. It's actually the second to last street before you leave Needham. So out there you do get more land. This is an acre lot. There, wide streets. It's a different type of Needham neighborhood. But I think for all of that, for $880 is pretty good.
I like that neighborhood.
Yeah.
Over on 227 South Street, we'll find one of my deal of the month candidates.
Okay.
For the buyer, I liked this buy at $1,049,000. I thought it was a lot of house. It was on South Street, but closer to town.
Right.
And to be honest with you, I felt like you could put $100,000 into that kitchen and you'd be sitting on a house that's worth 1.2. Like I think that.
Well, I should hope so.
Yeah, but I'm saying you can get 50 grand in instant equity by putting 100,000 into it, because I think that what hurt that house more than anything was the kitchen. The tile and the cabinets. I just feel like you could spend a little bit of money and have it go a long way at that listing.
No, that's fair.
I liked it.
One thing I noticed here that the offers were due Sunday evening. What do you think about that versus Monday?
Yeah, I mean, I think Monday's better because then people are left to scramble on a Sunday and they might not have time to get everything together.
And you can't get the pre-approval letter. I like Monday better.
Yeah,
but
I do too.
It worked here.
And
so
we see
good for them.
Tuesday sometimes as well to give them ample time.
That's a lot of time.
But we see it. 41 Lindbergh Avenue is a house that we also both saw. This was on the corner of Lindbergh and Tower.
Yep.
And location, Ryan.
Think go wrong with that little mantra.
No.
And I think it's applicable here. I mean,
Agreed.
this is a nice spot.
Yep.
It's right on the backside of Mitchell School. I mean, I really like the house. I mean, it needed some work, but it was largely cosmetic. I mean, your location's great. You've got the 4 bedrooms, you have the 2.5 baths, and you have 2,500 square feet in a great spot. So put some money into it, and you're done. Liked it.
Yeah, I liked it as well.
That's another one. Is you put a few $100,000 into it, you're going to get instant equity there.
Next 2 listings actually have a very impressive spread between the listing price and the sales price in a good way for the seller. The first one is 18 Meeting House Circle. This one goes on the market for $949 and sells for, look at that, Ryan, $1,075,000.
Yeah, that's a big boost. It looked unassuming from the street, but when you walked in there, it was spacious and really well finished, and that contributed to its quick sale.
And let's slide right over to 60 Aletha Road, and you'll see same deal. This one goes on the market for $950 and sells for $1,100. That's $150 grand right there Boom.
Yeah, and 3,600 square feet. That does include the lower level, but still, that's a lot of space, and that is a nice, quiet street too in the Broad Meadow neighborhood. This is, I think this is still, even though it's a big jump over the list price, Rob, I think it's still a good buy.
Yeah, agreed. 41 Hillcrest Road. On the listing sheet, it indicated there was a motivated seller, and I would say that's probably accurate. Sales price of 1,125 after an original list of 1,269 over the course of just 24 days.
Yeah, I think they got more motivated over the course of those 24 days.
Clearly.
But I don't necessarily love the bringing to light a negative in the listing, saying just paint and move in. You're basically saying the house needs to be painted.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, I noticed that too.
Drawing the viewer to a negative. I don't agree with that.
Good point. Next up, 48 Holmesy Lane. Another house you and I both saw. So this one was on the market October of 2015 for 115. Nothing happens, and then it goes back on for 1,159, a little bit more, and it gets 1.2. This one right off of Cedar Street.
Yeah, 19 steps to this house, Rob.
That's a lot.
It is. It is.
It's very steppy.
Yeah, you definitely want to sell that house in the spring or summer, and not in the winter, when you're trudging up those steps with groceries and bags and kids in coats.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
Well, maybe that's why they pulled it off the market, because winter was approaching at the end of 2015. 20 Elmwood Road is a house that is like new. It's on an existing foundation.
Right.
Does that sound about right?
Yeah, so this is a house that, the train is really right in the backyard. This is a couple doors down from Great Plain on Elmwood. You're right, Robbie. This is a house that the original home was torn down to the top of the existing foundation, and a new home is being constructed on top of it.
Over 24 Gary Road, every bedroom is connected to a bathroom.
That's nice.
Land sale for this one was $590,000, sells for 1.3.
Did you notice when that $590,000 was spent?
Was it 2014?
Yeah, it was a long carry on this one.
Yeah, I did notice.
Good.
Good observation.
Thanks. You too, actually.
Yeah, thanks. 18 May Street is our next listing in the month of May, and it also happens to be my deal of the month for May.
Would have been mine if it wasn't Rob's.
All right, so we both feel like it's a pretty good deal for the seller. Correct. Goes on for 1,299, and it's like you look at this one on paper, Ryan, and it's very charming, oozing charm, if you will.
Couldn't contain the charm.
Yes, more charm than it knows what to do with. It's on a really nice street. It's a good-sized lot. It's got a really cool courtyard. In town, you've got some pretty good square footage there. You got 4 beds, 2.5 baths that we've heard recently is what a lot of people are looking for. And on top of that, there was an addition done. So you've got a big kitchen that kind of overlooks a family room on the back. You've got a nice master suite on the second floor. So why is it my deal of the month for the seller? And the reason is because you can there's a very fine line between the addition renovation in this house and the existing home.
They're 2 separate houses.
It feels that way. And the existing home, you go upstairs and you've got a great master suite, but then the other 3 bedrooms are tiny.
And completely neglected by the renovation process.
Completely neglected by the renovation process, and as is the first floor. So you're walking through a house that feels like it still needs work, and on the outside of the house, you're walking around a house that you don't necessarily see when you're driving about down May Street that also feels like it needs work. I'd be curious to see what the next highest offer was on this one, and I'll tell you another thing that makes me feel like it's a good deal for the seller would be the next listing. That's called a segue, Ryan, in the business. That's 864 Webster Street, and for $25,000 more, I just really like this house a lot. I think a few of our viewers probably know the story behind this house. It was part of a sale of 2 lots. You had this one and then the one right next to it. It was the corner of Harris and Webster. The owner owned them both, used that one lot on the corner as almost like a big side yard, sold them separately, and now this one sells to a homeowner. The one on the corner is now being redeveloped.
Yeah, I agree with you, Rob. This one, you talk about the charm of 18 May Street on the outside. This one had it on the inside and the outside. This house was meticulously taken care of. Really, really, really charming. It maybe needed some cosmetics or some modernization, but for my money at 1,375 all day over 18 May.
All right, all day over 18 May. 10 Longacre Road is the next listing, and we're going right back into the red writing. Ryan, go.
Yeah, I would have fought harder for the privilege of the 18 May deal of the month if it weren't for 10 Longacre. This one, I felt like it's only 4 years old, but it looked like it had been through the ringer, Rob. The floors were torn up. The paint, the one color paint was untouched since it was first lived in. It just didn't show well, and it was on from the 1.5s, and we just were like, this is really it's not gonna get that number. I'm surprised it got 1.4. So this one shocked me, that it went as quickly as it did and for as much as it did. because I thought that there were other options out there, including the ones we just talked about.
All right, let's fire through a couple more of these things. 15 Hawthorne Ave. Ryan, you get a big lot, over 5,000 square feet of living space, a really good location. That's always a good recipe. And in this case, that translates to a sales price of $1,473. 17 Maple Terrace is the next listing. This is a new construction. This is right, of course, in between Linden and Maple, and 11,000 square foot lot. Can we call this sneaky walk to town, or is this in town also?
Yeah, this is pretty. This is definitely an in-town location. You're walking all over town from here.
That picture taken during the day, 39 Southfield Court, was taken at dusk. And what I like about this picture is I think the sky looks pretty. What I don't like about it is I can barely see the house.
Right. I think this price was too much at 1.8. We remarked on that when we left the house. It was built 1997 and really untouched since then. So, you know, the claim of the luxury amenities throughout, they're 20-year-old luxury amenities. The best part about this house, in my opinion, was the basement. It was a beautiful walkout basement, really nice property, wine cellar, game room, really nice down there. But, you know, I think they just went out of the gates a little high. Over
at 793 Great Plain Ave, we give our props to the seller and the listing agent. I think the timing of this listing was tremendous. They hit it when they had to, and I think if it would have gone on a month later, they would not have gotten over 1.6. Great house. Tough parking situation when you have guests, but a lot of things going for it. Over at 50 Francis Street, they're breaking new ground over there. Congrats to 50 Francis Street for joining the 1.6 Club. Francis Street, now a member of the 1.6 Club.
Spectacular.
Thank you. And you're talking about the house. 140 Beard Way is our big seller. Ryan, if I remember correctly, 104 homes to sell in 2016. This is the second highest selling home for the year. That concludes our rundown of the 35 homes. Now we're going to take a quick little market snapshot and see what's going on, because there's a couple things that are certainly worth keeping an eye on, and that's, you know, a mild way of putting it.
Right.
And I think the two biggest things on there, the first things you see, you got a lot more things on the market now than you did at the exact same time last year, a lot.
Right.
And you have, albeit slightly, but less homes that are under agreement than you did same time last year. You can take it from there, right?
Right. I mean, Rob, what that says to me is that demand is the same, right? So you know, when we talked about this a little bit last month too. I mean, you're still seeing the same amount of buyers that are absorbing the same amount of houses, but what the main difference is that there is just a lot more inventory.
Correct.
So it's just no guarantee as a seller that you're going to come out, especially if you try to come out at a premium price, and you're going to have access to one of those buyers, because there's enough inventory right now for the same amount of buyers as we had last year to give sellers some concern if you're not positioned well, and that you really ought to think about your pricing strategy and how you're going to put your house out there, because there's not infinite demand, put it that way.
And we think last year's winter compared to this year's winter, one of the factors why you have so many more houses on the market this year as opposed to last year. Probably most important part of the show, the listing picture of the month. I know everybody's anxiously awaiting. So let's show that real quick before we sign off here. And Ryan, I don't know about you, but I like it.
Okay.
I mean, I want to buy it. I think it's got a lot going for it. I think it's a nice looking.
Yeah, as bushes go, I think, yeah, it's well shaped. It looks like it's been maintained.
Yeah, I mean,
I can't imagine you've got too much wear and tear on that bush. I mean, it's good.
Yeah, it's taken care of. You can tell it's the owners meticulously maintaining that thing. Yeah. And I think that's just a sign of the other aspects of that lawn that we can't see.
Right.
Potentially some other flowers, maybe some perennials, some annuals.
Agreed.
The list goes on and on.
Yeah, solid bush.
As we've heard before. If anybody wants to contact the show, Ryan, what would be the best way to do that?
There's a couple ways you can get us, Rob. You can give us a call any time at 781. This is toll free, by the way. It's 781-707-6564. You can also email us at rob.ryan@hawthornre.com. Or you can follow us on Twitter, and that's Hawthorne_WMHW.
Very good. Lots of things to do. Feel free to check in with us with any questions, anything you might need. We are here for you, our loyal viewer. That will do it for now.
Viewers.
Oh, right. A 17th ranked show, I said. That'll do it for this month's episode. We appreciate you joining us, and we'll see you again very soon.